Hi guys, Mulos here. So today's video I am going to talk about crypto, transacting crypto in Zambia, possibly even Africa. Just fun fact, I have transacted crypto in Zambia, Nigeria, South Africa, Malawi, and Kenya. Once in a while I do travel, and when I travel I like to see what the crypto situation is in the countries that I'm visiting. The most interesting one was actually Malawi, where I discovered that theoretically, this is not financial advice or meant to inform or educate. This is not financial advice, guys, but in Malawi, if you do change your crypto to Malawian kwacha, at the rates sort of give you a lot of arbitrage. You end up buying anything and everything in Malawi at half price because there's a distortion between the bank rates and the rates that you're going to get for your crypto. I was just testing out and found that out. But anyways, we're going to talk from a Zambian user perspective, but it does apply to a number of other African countries because what I've realized trading crypto each time I travel is that we may be different when we cross the borders, but the principles, the theories, and things basically remain the same. So this one I'm going to talk about my experiences, give some tips, tricks, hacks, and pointers so that you don't need to go through what I've gone through, the bad, just to, there's bad and good side of crypto. You don't need to experience the bad that I experienced. I'll tell you about it so that you avoid them. So anyways, forgive my I took some notes, guys, and forgive my handwriting. My handwriting is deteriorating as I get a little bit older. I really don't like writing that much, but I'm trying to write a lot more. I could have typed this out, but I didn't have the time, so I wrote it out. And forgive the bad handwriting. So there'll be some notes on the screen. Bear with me because the handwriting could be terrible. So anyways, let's get to it. So on the crypto side, as someone who has been transacting crypto for the past, I think it should be 6 to 8 years, one thing I have learned is that there are a lot of theoretical assumptions, especially by those in authority. They look at crypto from the theoretical side. And in reality, us on the ground who are actually transacting crypto, we face practical realities. Sometimes the theoretical assumptions diverge from the practical realities. So you find that there's a lot of tussling or back and forth and all. So this is something that I've realized. I'm sure if you deal with crypto in Zambia or in your African countries, there are theoretical assumptions that you thought before you actually transacted crypto that you find the practical realities are totally different. Sometimes you find that the prices are actually higher than what you thought you're going to get. And then other times you find the prices are lower than what you thought you're going to get. Then there are the legal implications and also a whole host of things. That could be a topic for another day. Let me know in the comment section if you want me to talk more about that. Then one of the second thing here is that crypto has real world value. It has real world functional use and functional value. But a lot of times people are caught up on the theoretical side of crypto in terms of, assumptions like if I buy this meme coin or if I buy Bitcoin today, it's going to shoot to the moon and all that stuff. When in reality, people are transacting crypto for the real world functional, real world utility and real world financial value of the coins. So we're going to get to the site that I love to showcase, which is investing.com. So if we get to investing.com and we look here, you're going to see that the investing.com, the number of coins that it follows varies from day to day, month to month, year to year. As at right now, they are following 9,480 coins. The total market capitalization of those coins they are following is $3.87 trillion. And then the total volume that has changed hands in a 24-hour period is $170 billion. So this $170 billion is more than, in my country, Zambia, this is maybe a couple of times more than the annual GDP or GNP of my country. So if you look at it, the total volume of crypto that changed hands in a 24-hour period was $170 billion. That is a couple of times more than the GDP or GNP of my country, Zambia. And this is in a 24-hour period. So the amount, it's a very, very liquid market that you can't avoid in this day and age. You can try to avoid it. Theoretically, you can avoid it, but practically you can't. It does permeate throughout our societies. The number of people I've met, and the diverse number of people I've met who transact crypto in one way, shape, or form or another is really, really striking. You know, I've met people who I would never have thought would dabble in crypto, heavy users of crypto. Some people I never thought would ever even use it are people I've met using it. I've met people of all races, nationalities, creed, you know, religions, a whole diverse bunch. And it's been an interesting ride anyways. So basically 170 billion changed hands 24-hour period. I can assure you that a couple of $1 million changed hands just within Zambia in the same period. That is how liquid the market is. So it comes back again to what I was talking about, the theoretical assumptions and the practical realities. I'll get back to this again in a bit. So $170 billion has changed hands 24-hour period. Then we now look at which coins are the ones being transacted the most. If we come to investing.com again and we just click on it, volumes by 24-hour period, we are going to see that USDT Tether is the most traded cryptocurrency on earth. It's $122 billion changed hands in a 24-hour period, followed by Bitcoin of about $62 billion. Then the rest was traded over all the other cryptos. So of course here, if we're looking at mathematically speaking, this number sort of doesn't add up, because 122 billion plus 62 billion is basically giving you 180 billion. Then you add $42 billion, you're going to get now $230 billion. So you see here that the numbers are staggering. What also happens is that there are some cross coin transactions, and also it could be it could be that individually Bitcoin was traded $62 billion worth, but it could have been BTC to ETH or BTC to USDT, you know, such kind of things. So the one I would really look at is this volume on a 24-hour period, which is 170 billion, but in practical reality, it should be higher than that. Anyway, so back now to my notes. So some of the things which affect crypto perceptions in your country or your areas, especially Zambia, is a lot of assumptions. So the number one assumption is on price. People do not know how to price crypto. So there are a lot of assumptions thrown all over the place, and this creates a lot of messed up situations that affect a lot of things. Then the next one here is on the legality of crypto or transacting crypto in the country. A lot of people have found themselves in crypto, but then they are now misinformed that crypto is illegal to transact in Zambia. So this is something that causes problems, because you find that you have found yourself with, maybe you bought Bitcoin back in the day when it was a few dollars or a few cents, and then now it's worth over $116,000, and you need to liquidate that. So, you know, you're assuming that crypto is illegal, or it's not legal tender, or you can't transact it in Zambia. So, you know, it takes people into the shady underworld. Yes, Zambia does have a shady underworld. I am not part of that shady underworld, but I do know that it exists. A lot of people who come and approach me, you know, they are basically trying to cash out of their crypto, which they obtained legally, but then they are assuming that it's going to be illegal to cash out. It's not, it's perfectly legal, guys. You just need to do the right thing and know what to do to avoid getting into problems. So this issue of where everybody quotes to say that Bank of Zambia has said Bitcoin is not, or crypto is not legal tender, it's not legal in the country, you shouldn't transact it. That is just a misunderstanding or misreading of the Bank of Zambia guidelines. So I know that they are working on some sort of legal frameworks and all, which should come out anytime soon. And knowing my country, I know it's going to be a mess of a framework and all, because at the end of the day, the people who are framing or putting it together, I know 98% or 99% of them have never even traded or transacted crypto, and they're going to use a lot of theoretical assumptions to come up with laws and guidelines to guide the actual people who are transacting crypto. I may have diverged from the righteous path in venting or ranting right now, but that is the assumption that I'm going to make. I may be proven wrong or I may be proven right when it does come out. Then the next thing here is the assumption of taxation. If you are trading crypto for profit, like I do, I basically buy and sell crypto on arbitrage. I buy low, sell high, and I make a bit of exchange. If you are doing that, some people are saying that they don't need to pay tax because crypto is not legal tender in Zambia. It's not legal and all that stuff. But the reality is you don't pay tax on crypto, you pay tax on the profits or that you are making trading crypto. So in my case, I pay my taxes, and fortunately I do pay my taxes because I did have a run-in with the authorities, and when they went through my books and all, they did see that I was a regular taxpayer and all. So it lessened the blow. I still got a heavy blow, but it lessened the blow because it was seen that I actually was making effort to be compliant. I may have made mistakes on how I was filing my compliance, but I was compliant. I still got that blow, but it was a lessened blow, it was a lesser blow. Then the other thing here is the issues of liquidity. A lot of people believe that crypto is highly liquid in the country, and all you need to do is say, I've got crypto with X amount of money and I need to cash out, or I've got X amount of money and I need to buy crypto. So the market is liquid, but it's not permanently liquid. A lot of times there's what they call liquidity matching, where you match buyers with sellers or sellers with buyers, and you find that all right, so in terms of liquidity, there are a lot of assumptions about the liquidity or the illiquidity of the market. The crypto market is highly liquid. It's just that there's a lot of matching of buyers and sellers and buyers, and the middlemen do distort that thing. So in case you are stuck with crypto and you need to liquidate into fiat, or you have got fiat, you need to get crypto and you're having trouble navigating that, I do offer some consultancy services at a fee, reasonable fee, contacts in the description. Then the next thing here is in terms of assumptions of anonymity. A lot of people assume that crypto is anonymous and you can trade or transact without fear of ever being exposed or found out and stuff like that. It's furthest from the truth, guys. Crypto is not as anonymous as you think it is. The whole purpose of blockchain is it being trackable or traceable or verifiable in real time. So as long as you know what you're doing and you've got a person's blockchain address or crypto wallet, you can be able to sort of try to find out or work your way backwards to find out what exactly they've been doing with their crypto wallet, where they have moved funds to, how funds have been moved to them, and stuff like that. And then basically you can work your way, depending on what you're doing or what tools you're using, you can be able to recreate transaction histories and all. There are some crypto blockchains that are designed to be anonymous and all, but that is a topic for another day. And then I don't want to give people ideas, but there are some wallets and coins that are more anonymous than others. But if you are transacting crypto, guys, don't think that you're going to be too anonymous. In case you are wanted by the authorities, you can be found just basically from your crypto. At the end of the day, crypto has functional utility value, it has economic value, and there's a point at which you're going to convert your crypto to fiat, and that is the weak spot that gets a lot of anonymous people found out and caught. And then in a lot of countries, there isn't that much liquidity. There is liquidity, but there are very few liquidity providers, and it's at that point that the veil of secrecy, if I can call it that, does get lifted. So do not think that you can just transact crypto anonymously and get away with things. You can be found out if the authorities need to find you out. So don't try, if you're going to do illegal things, guys, don't try to do it with crypto. You will find yourself basically caught and all. Then the next thing is the assumptions on KYC onboarding. This basically ties in with the issue of anonymity. Most crypto platforms are KYC compliant. They have to conform with anti-money laundering laws, financial fraud laws, and a whole host of other laws. So a lot of them will require your KYC or know your customer verifications. That's in terms of your IDs, your proof of residence, bank statements, a whole host of other things. And then most of these platforms have got tiered verifications. So in case you want to transact, they will limit you to the smallest tier, and then if you want to transact a higher volume, they will ask you to verify more details, take a live selfie, upload bank statements, proof of residence, and all those other things. And then if you want to get and be able to transact even more, you need to supply even more documentation. In my case, I am a verified trader on Binance. I went through a whole verification process. And then I'm also an over-the-counter trader with Yellow Card, and I went through a very, very detailed onboarding and verification process. So these are things that you really do need to know and understand. Now, the other things here in terms of frauds, crime, and money laundering. One of the assumptions is that crypto is the place where criminals go to launder money or to commit frauds and to do all these other things. The harsh reality, guys, is that especially if you live in Africa, like I do, most of the scandals that happen among our politicians, our elites, and known criminals and the likes involve either hard cash or bank and other fiat linked funds. So it's very, very few that actually involve crypto. It's just that the ones that involve crypto, especially when you hear crypto has got dirty connotations to a lot of people. When you hear crypto, it sounds like, oh my goodness, they've done this with crypto. But the reality is that they have done even more with fiat. So at the end of the day, I'm not saying crypto is absolutely clean. I'm just saying that these things happen. There are easier ways to commit frauds, crime and money laundering using fiat than crypto. Crypto always has a weak link, which is the point at which the crypto is being converted to fiat. Then the next thing is the so-called Chinese demand. A lot of people, especially scammers, criminals, and the likes, will always try to hide behind a so-called Chinese client. Yes, there are Chinese who are heavily invested in crypto and all, but it's not as exaggerated as you'll be informed. Basically, if you're into crypto, someone will always come and say, I've got a Chinese buyer or a Chinese seller, or there are Chinese in the market and stuff like that. I've met quite a few Chinese who actually do transact crypto. They're all straightforward, honest entrepreneurs and all. And even they get surprised by the so-called the hype and all about Chinese clients and all. And they also basically say, if you're going to deal with anybody, exercise extreme caution, do your KYC onboarding, know your customer, and be very careful, because there are scammers in the Chinese community, and then there are a lot of scammers who are not even Chinese or in the Chinese community pretending to be Chinese. And it's one of the things that causes a lot of problems. Then the last thing, the assumption, is middlemen. There are a lot of middlemen in crypto transacting in Zambia, and these middlemen and women cause a lot of problems because they distort prices and they distort information. So you find that instead of dealing directly with the buyer or the seller, a middleman there will come up with all sorts of markups, margins, and all. Sometimes they'll even facilitate a transaction, and then you have priced in everything, and then they'll come in and say, what about my commission, my cut, and stuff like that. So the middlemen and women in Zambia a lot of times do distort the crypto transacting, crypto pricing, and they bring a lot of confusion. I'm not saying all middlemen and women are bad, but there are a lot of those who just come in and bring confusion. I've transacted with a lot of middlemen and women, and the vast majority of them are straightforward, honest, and all, but there are a lot of others who really want you to take shortcuts, and shortcuts can land you in a lot of problems. So be very, very careful. No matter how good the offer is, look at the practical side of it, look at the legal side of it, and look at the implications of you getting involved in that. Try to avoid easy money and try to avoid being pushed by a middleman or woman to do things that you ordinarily wouldn't do. So anyways, now we're going to talk about scams. So I've been in the crypto game or crypto business for over 6 to 8 years, I think. And I've done literally thousands upon thousands of transactions, possibly 5 to 10,000 transactions in that time. And I can count almost on two hands the number of times that I have been scammed. And I think I've been scammed maybe about 12 to 15 times out of the full 5 to 10,000 times I've transacted crypto. Why I remember the times I've been scammed is because, you know, there are so few, and some of them have been really small but still very spectacular. Some of them have been big and really spectacular. So it doesn't really matter the size of the scam. It's just being scammed does hit you hard. So some of the scams which are there are: one, fake Chinese. Okay, let me just put the numbers here. Okay. All right. So one. Okay, sorry. Let me do that. Okay, so one is fake Chinese. A lot of scammers will come in and pretend to be Chinese clients on the other end. So they'll act like the middleman is communicating to a Chinese buyer or seller. They'll offer you a very, very incredible deal and incredible rates. They'll ask you for a lot of screenshots, a lot of other funny things, and you believe you're dealing with a genuine person when in actual fact you're just dealing with a scammer. And then, so at worst, both of you are being scammed. Both the buyer and the seller are being scammed by a middleman pretending to be you to the buyer, or you to the seller, and then pretending to be the other party to you. So those are the worst case scenarios. Okay, I don't know whether that's the worst case scenario, that two parties get scammed. Then you also have other situations where one party gets scammed by the other. So they'll make a lot of ridiculous demands like, no, we need to meet somewhere, you need to come with cash. Our agent will verify the cash, and once the cash is verified, we'll send coin, or you send coin. You know, they just come up with all sorts of ridiculous demands. And then when you have been in the business for a while, you know, you're able to spot some of these things from a mile away, or some of you would say a kilometer away. It's really, I'm not saying that there are no Chinese crypto buyers or sellers. They do exist, but there are a lot more fake Chinese buyers and sellers than the genuine article. So now the second thing there is cash meetups. You know, sometimes you get a very, very, very good offer from somebody, but it's a cash meetup. And you know, the terms and conditions of this are really, really, you know, these are the ones that raise the red flags. Sometimes they'll recommend you meet at a bank, or, you know, you meet at a secure place and all of those things. And, you know, you'll be thinking this is a very safe location. So what can go wrong? What can go wrong is you go somewhere with cash, or you go somewhere to receive cash. Now, it's all well and good when you are there. The deal can go on very okay and all, but what happens now when you are leaving the place? In case you're dealing with dollar, there's a maximum amount of dollar that you can deposit in a bank. So if it's a large cash volume, it means that you have to leave with excess cash. So it's the whole thing of, once you leave the secure location, you could be attacked or robbed as you leave there, or when you have left there, you could be trailed and all those things. And then there are also other assumptions that you could actually get attacked while you're at the so-called safe joint. So cash meetups are some very, very tricky affair. You really, really need to do your mathematics before you're doing cash transactions or cash meetups, because that is one of the weak spots that lands a lot of people into problems. The one time I did try to do a cash meetup, I got robbed, guys. Okay, I got attacked. I actually even got beat up. You know, I was given 2 hard punches on my right side and a hard slap on my left side. Fortunately, I didn't have any cash. I think they thought I'd gone there with cash. I did not go with cash. I went there just for a meeting to find out stuff. And I think maybe they got upset that I didn't actually carry cash, and I messed up their plans to rob me. I left there battered physically, and my ego and my pride were bruised and battered as well. So it was a very, very hard lesson, literally and figuratively. It was a hard lesson to learn that, you don't just go willy-nilly to attend meetings on the assumption you're dealing with good people. Fortunately, I did not actually have any cash, and that saved me. And it's, you really need to be careful out there, guys. Then the next thing is the latest trend is so-called flash wallets. I have absolutely no idea how flash wallets work because, guys, I use genuine wallets, and the people I'm transacting with, as soon as I hear flash wallet, I know that I'm either dealing with somebody who has never dealt crypto before, or somebody making a lot of crazy assumptions and theories about crypto, or somebody wanting to scam. So flash wallets, I'm told those frauds do happen. I've never experienced them because I just don't deal with them. Crypto has blockchain. So if someone is sending you crypto, or you are sending crypto to someone, you can be able to track it on the blockchain. If it's USDT, you're able to see how many confirmations have gone through, how many confirmations are remaining, and when it has reflected on the wallet. So there's no such thing. If you're using genuine wallets and platforms, there's no way that you receive crypto and then after some time it times out and disappears. That is only if you're using wallets and all that have been given to you by a scammer. So this is why it's very important that you download the genuine app yourself on your phone or your device, and you sign up for your Binance or other wallets and all on your own. So now the next thing here is scammers. So the next one is scammers. So there are a lot of scammers out there. In my case, I've been scammed on Binance a few times. One time, it was a very small amount, €3. The guy said he had made payment, and then he even showed me a proof of payment. And then he said, "Oh, look, I urgently need this coin. Can you release the coin? I've already made payment. You should have it shortly." And I said, "This is €3. There's no way someone can scam me over €3. I released the coin, and then a few minutes later, I got a notification that the sender had cancelled the payment made to me. That's how I got scammed. Then another time, it was here within Zambia. I sold crypto on Binance in very, very good faith, and it turned out that the party who was buying crypto and paying using his real name and stuff was actually a scammer. So the funds that he was paying out to everybody, when immediately you received kwacha from that person's mobile money, your mobile money account got frozen, and then it ended up being a police case. So there are a lot of people who are affected. Then another time, it turned out that one of the buyers on Binance was linked to one of these scams that was going around, one of these investment scams, and it also resulted in my mobile money account being blocked, and then it's resulted in a huge mess. So as you are trading on even platforms like Binance, or even off platforms like Binance, maybe peer-to-peer networks, or someone has introduced you to someone, say, "Oh, this person needs some crypto, can you be able to transact?" Just be mindful that we live among scammers and people who can get your mobile money accounts blocked or restricted because the funds they're using to pay you are problematic funds. Now, one of the things with with mobile money, you need to realize it has limitations. So everyone has got by default 20,000 kwacha maximum amount they can transact, and then if they upgraded accounts, it's 100,000 kwacha. So it's not like you can have unlimited transactions on mobile money. That's why I say that the bulk of scams and all happen off mobile money and off into the real world and stuff like that, and they don't really involve crypto, but you can find yourself affected on the crypto side, especially peer-to-peer transacting. So I can safely say that 99.99% of the people transacting on Binance are genuine transactors. You will not have problems with them, but it is that 0.01% of the people on Binance who are scammers who could land you in very, very big problems. So always follow the rules when you're dealing on Binance. Always bear in mind that you could be hit by that 0.01% of people who are up to no good. And the other thing you could also face on dealing with mobile money on Binance or off Binance are the people who make a payment to you and then they'll demand a reversal from the mobile money platform. So some of these mobile money platforms require you to approve a reversal, and then some others will just reverse and give you a couple of hours or days to file a complaint to stop that reversal being finalized. So this is something you really need to be careful on. You need to be checking your messages, checking your balances on a regular date and stuff. Then the next thing to also be mindful on in terms of scams is third-party payments, especially via bank. Do not just receive bank payments from anybody into your bank account. You always need to do your KYC onboarding. You need to know whether the party who is paying you are the legitimate owners of that bank account. They are able to verify that they are directors or shareholders in the bank account, in the company, and by the ones managing the bank account. So you need to be very, very mindful of this, because when you receive third-party payments and it turns out to have been a scam and all that stuff, you can find yourself in very, very, very serious problems, both with with the authorities, the police, and all that stuff. So let me just charge this. Okay, I'm not sure if the cable can see. If the cable can be seen, guys, forgive me. If it can't be seen, it's all good. But anyways, so third-party payments and transactions are really, really difficult thing to do. Avoid third-party payments if you can. Always make sure that it is the owner of the account or the owner of the company, director of the company who is making the payment. Try to get all the relevant documentation to put on file, because it is not nice receiving a payment that is reported to be a scam. It's a very, very traumatizing experience, guys. All right, so now we're going to go and talk about transacting crypto. So I don't know if this is, okay, we're going to go talking about transacting crypto. So on transacting crypto, some of the things you need to know is that there's a buy rate and a sell rate. So the best example I can give, if you're transacting in dollars in Zambia, the rate could most likely be plus or minus 1.5%. So that effectively means that if you are selling USDT, it's going to be at the buy rate, which is 0.985, for example. So for every 1,000 USDT, you're going to receive $985 cash or bank. And then if you are buying USDT, it means that the rate is 1.015. So for every 1,000 USDT, you are going to pay $1,015. So that's something you need to be mindful about. And then now, if you are going to talk about buying and selling for kwacha, you've got a situation where the buy rate, for instance, could be 23 kwacha per USDT, and the sell rate could be 24 kwacha per USDT. This means that if you've got USDT and you need kwacha, 1,000 USDT will get you 23,000 kwacha, and if you have kwacha and you want to buy USDT, 1 USDT or 1,000 USDT could give you 24,000 kwacha that you need to pay. Then another thing to note is that Binance rates do have distortions. So these distortions, you find that a lot of times the rates on Binance are distorted or far removed from the exchange rates. There are times that the Binance rate is lower than the bank rates, and there are other times that the Binance rates are way higher than the bank rates. So a lot of times I do not price according to Binance rates, I price according to bank rates. So a lot of times my clients will be like, no, Mr. Mulos, on Binance I can get it lower, on Binance I can get a higher rate. So I say, go to Binance and transact there. Because my rates are linked to the bank rates. It brings in price stability, and it helps in maintaining. I can always know what price I'm going to be just using the bank rates versus having to compete lower or higher on Binance with people. I don't know what is leading to their pricing, because if it's off bank rate, it could be lower, maybe minus 3 to 5% or plus 3 to 5%. So there are all these variables that you really need to look at. Another very, very good indicator or indication, another very good rates indicator are the yellow card rates. I do highly recommend Yellow Card. Yellow Card is the only crypto exchange operating in Zambia with Zambian laws and conformities. So Yellow Card does provide liquidity to the crypto markets in Zambia, and their rates, the rates depend on what side of the market they are leaning towards. Sometimes their buy rates are lower or higher than you'd expect. Sometimes their sell rates are lower or higher than you should expect. Just remember that Yellow Card is a business and they have to make business decisions in their pricing. I am an over-the-counter trader with Yellow Card. I have made content for them in the past. I still trade with them. I'm still their client and all. So my views on Yellow Card are they're neutral, guys, but I just need to state that I do work with them and I have worked for them before. So you might, make your own decisions about it, but I do highly recommend Yellow Card. Then you also have platform rates. So there are some other platforms like Noons, or you are dealing with it directly from exchanges like Nexo, CX, and all these other platforms. So there, the rates you see usually involve hidden rates as well, because if you are paying by bank card on some of these platforms, the rate you're going to get will be higher than the rates you actually see. That's if you're buying USDT, and then the rates you're going to receive if you're selling USDT could be lower with all these other charges there. And now we're going to look at issues on terms of payments. So what are the payment options you have? Most of the times people ask, which platform can I buy crypto from, Visa or MasterCard? So the reality is that most platforms no longer accept Visa or MasterCard, but some platforms still accept Visa or MasterCard. Some of the platforms that accept Visa or MasterCard is CXIO. That's a US platform. Just be mindful that if you are buying large volumes of crypto using your bank card, your crypto will be frozen. They'll want you to do verification and KYC updates and all that stuff. So in as much as you can transact with Visa or MasterCard to buy crypto, just be mindful that above a certain threshold, your money is going to be frozen and you will have a hard time proving you are the owner of the funds, because sometimes you don't actually have the bank statements, or it's hard, you have got cards that don't have your name. There are a lot of variables that go in. I don't recommend paying Visa or MasterCard because you will suffer at some point in time. And then also there are a lot of hidden fees. So you won't get one-to-one. You're going to get maybe a 3 to 5% extra, maybe 3 to 8% actually extra in terms of fees and the likes. In terms of bank transfer, most banks, or all banks, can actually transfer funds to crypto platforms for you to purchase crypto. But you just need to understand that it does come with a lot of scrutiny and all, because most crypto platforms will not give you invoices. So if you're buying crypto above $5,000, you're not going to have an invoice, and then it becomes a problem with the banks and stuff like that. And then also a lot of banks are suspicious of crypto transactions, assuming that there's some ill intent in there. So it takes a while for you to develop that relationship with the bank to be able to transact properly. Then mobile money presents a lot of challenges. In terms of per transaction, you find that maybe it's 10,000 kwacha per transaction, and then per day it could be 20,000 kwacha or 100,000 kwacha per day in terms of transaction volumes. And then you also have issues of people trying to cancel transactions, the frauds, and all these other things. So in as much as people, and then even the bank the charges, the Momo charges are very, very high. So in as much as people love to transact via mobile money, it's extremely inconveniencing, extremely costly, and very problematic if you deal with the wrong people. Now, when you come to dealing in cash transaction, cash is king in Zambia, but cash presents a lot of problems. In terms of cash depositing at bank, it does raise a lot of problems if you're always depositing cash every day. It raises a lot of compliance issues, KYC issues. It raises a lot of KYC issues, compliance issues, anti-money laundering issues. So you need to have your paperwork in order, because you could actually get flagged, reported to FIC, and then FIC will report you to ZRA, DEC, and possibly any other regulatory authorities to investigate you and find out whether the money is clean, legit, and all, and whether taxes have been paid. And then also when it comes to cash there are maximum amounts you can transact for dollar, especially dollar. If it's going to a personal account, the maximum is $20,000 a day. If it's going to a company or business account, the maximum is $100,000 a day that you can deposit into the bank. When it comes to withdrawing, the maximum is $10,000 a day, whether it's a business account or a company account. So in case you deposit $100,000 today and then you need to withdraw it tomorrow, you will only be able to withdraw $10,000. So that's something you need to know about cash. Now the next thing is in terms of tax. So I'm going to give an example of my business model because I was advised by ZRA on what to do for taxes on my business. I was advised by ZRA on what to do on taxes on my business. I basically need to charge VAT on my commission or exchange or fees that I earn. So let's look at an example of where I'm transacting $1,000. So $1,000 at cost, 23.20, that's sort of a disbursement and all, so it's non-taxable. I'm going to get 23,200 kwacha. Then I'm adding maybe 0.2 kwacha or 20 ngwe commission to this. So my commission is going to be 200 kwacha on this 1,000 USDT or $1,000 transaction. So the total amount paid to me is 23,400 kwacha. And then of that, on the commission side, before tax, it's going to be 172.41 kwacha. Then when I add VAT, it's going to come 27.59. The total will be 200 kwacha. So for every commission I make, I need to deduct or remove VAT. There were two options given to me. One, I could add VAT to my commissions and let the client bear that, which would have pushed my commission to higher than what the market can absorb, or I just bear the VAT myself, and so that's what I've chosen to do. So every commission that I'm earning or every fee that I'm earning, 16% is going to go to the tax authorities. So this requires me to be on Smart Invoice and all that other stuff. So it does work out. It's better, it's cheaper, easier, and better to be tax compliant than not. Because in case you ever have a run-in with the FIC, one of the places they will definitely report you to is ZRA to check if you are tax compliant. And then they could also report you to DEC to investigate if there's any money laundering frauds or other illicit funds movements, and also whether you're tax compliant. So being tax compliant saves you from a headache down the line. Then also the other thing to note is that all your accounts, whether it's mobile money, bank accounts, or anything, they are all linked to your TPIN. So it's very easy for anybody using AI or even just any practical methods to see how much volumes you are transacting, receiving or transacting in a given period. So in case you are called by any of the authorities, they'll just give you spreadsheets upon spreadsheets of all your transactions, and then they'll ask you how much tax have you paid on this money, and then you say 0 because crypto is not legal tender in Zambia. No guys, you will be slapped with massive penalties and all. So pay your taxes and all. Anyways, coming back to the issue of scams, I'll talk about the times that I have been scammed. It's the one I can really remember is about 13 times. So 6 times I've been scammed on Binance, ranging from the most ridiculous scams I could ever think of to the most elaborate scams where, you're even left wondering like, okay, these people really thought it out. So it's about 6 times. Bank, in terms of bank, I've been scammed about 6 times. There's a lot involved. When you get scammed via bank, guys, it's very, very embarrassing. It's fortunate that I got cleared in the investigations. So basically, both I and the client got scammed. But it's very, very embarrassing, guys. So this is why I'm really, really aggressive. People will come in and say, Mr. Mulos, a client needs to buy or sell this amount of USDT and they want to transact via bank. I ask for the KYC. I ask a lot of questions because you do not want to receive funds from anybody or any party that you cannot verify really exists, the nature and source of their funds and all these other things. It would be a headache, guys, a headache of epic proportions to receive illicit funds into your account. So Be very, very careful. No matter how lucrative the deal looks or sounds, avoid bank transactions with people you cannot verify. If anything goes wrong, the authorities will ask you, who did you transact with? And then you're just saying, I transacted with this guy on WhatsApp. He asked for my bank details, I gave him, and he made payment. And no, guys, it doesn't work like that. Ignorance is not, you cannot plead ignorance when you're taken to court. You will face the music. So be very, very careful when it comes to bank transactions. KYC, onboard your clients, and if they don't want to be onboarded, just say no. You can't receive funds from people you just don't know. All right, then now in terms of cash scams, I've been scammed on cash officially once. That was a time when there was some communication breakdowns and stuff, and I went to meet the clients at a bank, and I got roughed up by a mob, punched 2 times on the right side, 1 slap on the left, and had my ego and pride absolutely bruised and battered. That was the official scam that happened. The other cash scams have been, inquiries where people are trying to scam me, and as they're telling me their terms and conditions, and I'm asking for questions and all, I can even tell that this is a very senseless, elaborate scam. Sometimes, these are very respectable people I've been talking to. We even go and meet at the bank, to do a transaction. And then, you realize like these very respectable people are middlemen, and they have been caught up in greed, and they are being scammed. And I tried to tell there was this couple, a elderly man and woman. I told them, I said, guys, these are scammers, or there's a scam going on. I don't know whether the party you are dealing with are trying to scam you, or there's somebody in the mix trying to scam them and ending up scamming you. But I told them that this is a scam and you really need to be careful. And I left. I left them there, and then a few weeks or months later, I met the couple, and I said, how did the transaction go? And they said, okay, you know what, you were right. That was a scam. We don't know exactly how it was working and stuff like that. So be very, very careful when you're given cash transactions. Very good to be true cash transactions. Always set it up in such a way that you safeguard yourself and you do not find yourself caught up in a matrix or a trap or a web. We're in this business to make money, but don't let greed cloud your judgment and your thinking. All right, so now we're going to talk about, a lot of times people watch my videos and they want to contact me. Mr. Mulos, can I have your contacts? Mr. Mulos, please give me your contacts. So guys, let me just give you some guidelines on how to contact me and why I don't respond to a lot of queries and all. I know I might be missing out on some business here and there, but bear me out or hear me out. So I've been contacted by hundreds, if not thousands of people, guys. And I know that 99% of the inquiries do not result in anything. Some of them are absolute time wasting. Some of them are people actually trying to fish information out of me on how they can set up their own systems and do their own business. Some of them are just, genuine inquiries that we just don't mesh or agree to anything. So there's 99% time wasting that goes on. Then there's a 1% success rate. So this 1% success rate does negate the 99% fail rate, because the 1% can actually fund and lead to very, very good business opportunities. So I am open to being contacted, but they have to be basic, simple rules, guys. So the first rule, get to the point. A lot of people will just contact and say, hi, hello, I watched your videos. Yes, guys, I do appreciate you watching my videos and contacting me, but get to the point. Hi, hello, I watched your videos on crypto or on avocado trees, on whatever video you watched. Just say, I watched this video and I would like to know XYZ, or do you do ABC? Get to the point so that I can reply you, not going a high, back and forth. Some people are in different time zones. Some people are not always online. So you send a hi, I send a hi back after a few hours, and then a few hours later you say, how are you? we will never get anywhere. So you can just say, hi, how are you? I watched your video. I'm from whichever country or whichever city, whichever town. I'd like to know XYZ. So if you get to the point, you will be answered and responded to easier. Number 2, guys, I've been in this business for 6 to 8 years. Technically, I have heard it all before. Whatever you are thinking of, somebody has probably mentioned it to me. A lot of people contact me on opportunities for arbitrage. They'll be like, no, there's this opportunity. If you try this, that, this with me, or you partner with me on this, that, this. Guys, I've heard that all before. I've tested it out. I've tested out every platform under the sun that works in Zambia. I've tested out so many wallets, and I've tested out all the opportunities and all. I do know or have an idea what works, what doesn't work in Zambia within the limitations or the opportunities within our financial space. So I've heard it all before, and usually if it's too good to be true, it genuinely usually is too good to be true. So you need to be very, very careful on that. So in case you are coming up with a really crazy opportunity that you think I haven't heard before, I most likely have heard it before. And if I tell you that this doesn't work, don't try to argue and say, no, it's gonna work, because guys, I've tested out a lot of these things. Then 3, okay, let me get back to here. So number 3, guys, I will not share screenshots. A lot of times people will be like, no, Mr. Muros, can you share a screenshot of your wallet, because the buyer or the seller wants to confirm, 99.99% of the time, the people asking for screenshots are either scammers or being scammed themselves. So it becomes a whole web of scammers and all, trying to get screenshots to show that they've got the liquidity and all, or it's just a scammer playing them or getting from them to show somebody else. So no, I will not show screenshots. If you have contacted me for a crypto transaction and you ask me if I can do of a certain volume or value, and I say I can, guys. I don't need to now start showing you screenshots or personal information or other information. Because if I ask you to show me your bank balances or your crypto wallets and all that other stuff, it becomes very, very, it's a bit tricky to do, guys. And then also a lot of times, like I've said, scammers are the ones who like asking for that. So the next one here is Flash wallets. A lot of people have come asking about Flash wallets and stuff, and what I've learned is that people ask or talk about Flash wallets are either scammers or people dealing with scammers or people who are in it's a very fringe minority of people who talk about Flash wallets, and when you talk to them, there's something off about them. So anyone asking me about Flash wallets, I automatically sort of detach myself, because I'm like, okay, how on earth in this day and age can you get involved in a Flash wallet? It means you're using a dummy wallet, or you're using a platform that is just messed up. If you're using a genuine wallet or a genuine platform, you never have Flash anything in Binance. You receive in your Binance wallet, it will tell you 3 more confirmations, and when it's fully confirmed, it's going to show in your balance, and it cannot be reversed after that. So these are some of the things you need to know and all. Then number 5 here in terms of rates. So rates are set in stone, and they're also negotiable depending on the amounts. So sometimes people just come to negotiate for the sake of negotiating. There's a lot that goes into transacting crypto. In my case, I actually pay taxes, guys. I cannot escape paying taxes. I don't want to escape paying taxes, because the taxman will come for me. You can run, you can hide, but you can never disappear from the taxman. At some point in time, they will come for their taxes, whether it's a backdating the taxes due or whatever can happen. You don't want to mess with the taxman. I learned from my normal work and all that taxes which are due just need to be paid. Factor them into your pricing and you're good to go. Trying to avoid paying taxes to make extra income or extra profit will still land badly on you. The taxman will come calling or knocking, and you will have to open and answer them. So In terms of rates and all, depending on the amounts. So the bank I use, they do have transaction fees and all. So depending on the amount, below a certain amount, the fee cannot be absorbed because the bank fees are fixed and capped at certain amounts. So below a certain amount, you can't absorb or do anything about the fees. Above a certain amount, it becomes flexible because the fixed fee is capped at a certain amount. So any amount above a certain threshold means that you are not bound or you're not hindered by the fee from the bank. So you can afford to be flexible. If you're going to be giving discounts and all and not factoring in your taxes, the bank fees, transaction fees, and any other fees, you end up at a loss and all that other stuff. So depending on a certain threshold, the rates are fixed. Above a certain threshold, the rates are flexible. Mildly flexible or generously flexible. So please, a lot of times people will even issue threats like, if you don't reduce on your rates, we'll go elsewhere. And I usually tell them, I said, okay, fine, there's nothing I can do. They'll again call me after a few minutes, hours or days to say, have you changed your rates? And I say, no, I've not changed my rates. A lot of times they come back and say, okay, but sometimes they'll keep on trying. Even after 9 months, 1 year, they'll be like, have you changed your rates? I'm like, guys, let's move on. We failed to meet or agree on rates. Let's just move on. You said you've got options, go to those options. And now the other thing is meetups. A lot of times people will be like, hey, Mr. Mulos, want to transact with you, or what we know they want to do meetups and all. So I cannot just be jumping to come meet you anywhere and everywhere because 99% of inquiries do not result in anything, whether a transaction and all. And if you're going to be meeting people in coffee shops and the likes, there are fees associated with that. Some businesses are liquid enough to absorb maybe 100 coffee shop meetings because you love your coffee and or you don't mind spending 200, 300 kwacha at each of these things. But then the reality is that when you are accounting for your expenses, you realize like, wait a second, I'm spending 100 kwacha at each of these meetings and I'm doing 100 meetings and nothing is coming out of them. So I'm losing like 10,000 kwacha just. So you eventually start cutting down on meetings and you only meet as and when you know that it's necessary. So a lot of times the people want to meet with me and they want to meet at places that are inconveniencing to me. At the end of the day, I know they are thinking the client or the customer is always right, and they'll want to meet me halfway across town, not even halfway, way across town, and that I should jump on a vehicle, a Yango or bus or anything, and come to meet them there just to find out that it's a scam or it's nothing is coming out of it. We need to understand that there are costs of movements and stuff. So meetups, a lot of terms and conditions do apply, and I just can't come to meet up with you for the sake of meeting up with you. So that's that. Then the next thing here is KYC onboarding. At the end of the day, guys, as somebody who has been scammed before, what I've learned is that you need to know who you're dealing with. Because if the police or any other authorities come to ask you questions and you say, no, I dealt a large volume with an anonymous buyer or seller and these funds came into my bank account and all that other stuff, you look like you are not serious. You could find yourself in problems with the laws and the authorities. So some KYC onboarding is very, very, very important. There was one transaction that I did. It was a bit of a relatively big transaction. And the bank called me to say, Mr. Mulos, can we have copies of your invoices, your tax invoices and all these other things? And they also asked for some clarification from ZRA regarding something. I was able to send them the information by the end of the day, the same day. Then I also contacted ZRA to get the information that the bank requested, and I was able to give them that. Now imagine if I had not been tax compliant or had not been keeping records or had the invoices, it would have been very, very big disaster with the bank. So these are things you really, really do need to know and understand. Yes, crypto does sound anonymous and all, but the reality is that you are the one the bank knows, you are the one who is going to be in problems simply because you are trying to do something in a very, very anonymous way. Then the last thing here, which I'm going to talk about, is the issue of dealing cash. Cash carries risks. There's a huge cost to transacting cash. Cash carries risks. Cash carries a lot of costs. And, you also need to be very, very mindful of, sometimes these things do sound a little bit suspect. I get a lot of cash inquiries. Somebody wants to transact cash after hours, non-banking hours, after hours, public holidays and weekends. So the question is, what exactly am I supposed to do with cash at certain times when banks are not open? And it's not possible to just be moving around with cash and keeping it waiting for banks to open. So these are some things. If you're going to be offered cash transactions, just be very, very mindful and factor in the risks, the costs, and all of transacting that cash. So anyways, guys, I think this has been it. So do let me know in the comment section if this video has been helpful. I'll leave my contacts in the description. I'll also leave links for Yellow Card, Binance, and some of the other crypto platforms that I know work in Zambia and all. Let me know which country you're watching this from. So for the record, guys, so in my African journey on fintech, I have basically I'm in Zambia. I have been to South Africa where I've tested out some fintech here and there. I have been to Lesotho. So time I was going to Lesotho, I told the guy at the airport that our destination, I said Lesotho. He gave me a look that really broke my heart. He said Lesotho. So I've been calling it Lesotho ever since. I'll never say Lesotho again. So I've been to Lesotho, I've been to Kenya, I've been to Tanzania, I've been to Malawi, and a special mention, I have dealt in Nigeria. I've never been to Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal. So I have dealt in these 3 countries, but I've never been. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've dealt and transacted in 6 African countries. I've tested out a number of theories in terms of how fintech works in these countries and other countries. I think later on I'm going to actually make a video where I'll talk about comparison of fintech between Zambia, South Africa, Kenya, I think these 3 countries, and Nigeria. So I'll talk about fintech in these. When I talk about these fintechs, Nigeria has got some of the best bank transfer system anywhere in the world. Whichever bank you're sending from one bank A to bank B, 24/7, 365, their banking system works. You get instant or near instant bank transfers. South Africa has got a very, very good banking system. They do have normal bank transfers and the pay and clear now bank transfer, which works very great, where you can pay any amount across banks within terms and conditions to apply, and the funds will reflect near instantly if you're doing a pay and clear now. Terms and conditions apply. Then Kenya has got a very weird fintech space where everything seems to be centered around M-Pesa. So you've got, it's a sort of, I don't know if you can call it Pesanomics. There's everything basically has a Pesa if it involves money, and it seems to be centered around M-Pesa. It works great and all, but it's a very funny space to navigate. And then you've got Zambia. Zambia's got a very robust, dynamic fintech space where everything either works great, doesn't work great, or is down. So you've got anyway, I'll make my next video talking about that. Let me know in the comment section what you would like me to So let me know in the comment section what you would like me to talk about when I compare the fintech space between Zambia, South Africa, Kenya, and Nigeria. I could also cover some of the other countries that I have been to and have transacted to. And then also when it comes to talking about Zambian banks, I am a very banked individual, and I think if I put it in alphabetical order, I think there is, let me just put here the banks that I can talk about. There's ABSA, Access Bank, EcoBank, FNB, Indo-Zambia, Stanbic, Stanchart, UBA, and Zanaco. I think this should be 9 banks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so I've got accounts with all these 9 banks. If you want me to talk about Zambian banking and all, I can talk about private banking. I can talk about Forex, Forex accounts. I can talk about Visa cards and all that other stuff. I can talk about PayPal, using that, which Zambian banks work best with PayPal and all this other stuff in terms of which banks are best for fintech and also which banks are best for mobile money transacting and all that stuff. So in case you do want me to talk about banking and all, let me know, and then these are the banks that I can talk about and cover. So I want to be talking a lot more about fintech, the practical side of fintech from a Zambian or an African perspective from the Zambian perspective. So it's going to be African perspective from a Zambian point of view and all of that. Because what I've realized is that Africa is really a country. We are different. I used to hate that shirt that said same but different. It really got to me. It really irritated me. But then as I get older, I realized that Africa is just one country. We're the same but different. The differences are really mild and minor in terms of which systems actually work across borders. Corruption. If you're driving across Africa, you encounter corrupt cops everywhere you go. Some places, the corrupt cops, they are really friendly and helpful despite being corrupt. Other places, they will give you hell and you even fear for your lives. And in other places, you even make friends with the corrupt cops and all. And anyways, Africa is just a crazy place, guys. So the last thing I can also talk about
corrupt cops.
Okay, I've been told not to talk about corrupt cops. Cops are not corrupt. They are not corrupt at all. They don't take bribes in Africa. That is a myth that needs to be broken. I've been corrected here by my friend here. Man, I'm just joking, but there's just some of these funny things that do happen as you move around. And then I also talk about travel across Africa and all. So I'll be talking, and you're going to be seeing a lot more of my lovely handwriting and all. But anyways, guys, I think I have strayed from the righteous path again and diverted to off topics. So this will be the series 1 in might be a Mulo's podcast of sorts. Although I don't want to be doing podcasts because sometimes these podcasters, really do stray from the righteous path and just start talking from their bums. Other times they're talking really sensible things. Let me not, okay, my director here is looking at me like he wants to kill me. Let me stop talking from my bums as well and just stick to script. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Mulos, bye.